we are hearing from whistleblowers also on Capitol Hill who allege the government is holding back crucial information about UAPs, unexplained aerial phenomena, what many of us still call UFOs.
A new whistleblower is coming forward saying he's not just saying he's heard about a secret government program to retrieve UFO crash.
Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
For decades, the message has been the same. There's nothing to see and nothing to fear. But insiders are beginning to break ranks under oath inside the halls of Congress. Whistleblowers, Pentagon veterans, and recently leaked files are all pointing in one direction. This might be the biggest UFO cover-up in history.
I'm going to be completely honest, I have no idea what to make of this.
Let me be clear, UAP are real. Advanced technologies, not made by our government or any other government, are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe.
Congressional hearings don't happen for bedtime stories. So why have we only been handed half-truths this long?
Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies.
In those cabins, there are 100 billion of them, comparable to the number of people who ever lived on Earth. It would be arrogant to think otherwise, that we are alone, that we are unique and special.
On a summer morning in Washington, the US House Subcommittee on National Security opened its doors to testimony that would send shockwaves far beyond Capitol Hill. The agenda: Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, or UAPs. The official record sits on congress.gov. This wasn't hearsay. It's now part of American legislative history.
Since the Roswell incident in 1947, many Americans have wondered about the dangers of unknown objects crisscrossing our skies. Whether these are UAPs or weather phenomena, advanced technology from American allied or enemy forces, or something more out of this world. So my first question, I have several questions, and if we can just be quick on these first two, I'm going to ask each of you the same question, and then I'll get to each of you individually. The first one, when you reported your experiences with a UAP, did any of you face any repercussions with your superiors, yes or no?
No.
No, I've actually never seen anything personally.
3 men sat before lawmakers, one a decorated Navy pilot, another a Marine with first-hand encounters, and then David Grush, a former intelligence officer who claimed under oath that the US has recovered non-human biologics from crash sites. He didn't whisper it to a podcast. He swore it on the record, facing the full weight of perjury.
Okay, I can't ask when do you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, is video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to Eunice Giff about.
Gotcha.
For years, the UFO conversation was pushed to the margins, tucked into late-night radio and supermarket tabloids. But on that day, elected officials asked serious questions about recovered craft, near-air collisions, and classified programs shielded from oversight. Cameras captured every word. The public watched military veterans describe objects moving in ways that were beyond the explanations of physics. Instant acceleration, right-angle turns, no visible propulsion.
Don't report seeing UAPs.
That's just my personal estimate.
In the incident off Virginia Beach, do you believe the Navy took the danger to your aircraft seriously after it was reported?
Absolutely.
A few questions for Mr. Fravor. As an expert naval aviator, have you ever seen an object that looked and moved like the Tic Tac UAP?
No.
Did the Tic Tac UAP move in such a way that defied the laws of physics?
The way we understand them, yes.
And here's the break in the pattern. This wasn't fringe talk. This was sworn testimony, backed by credentials, filmed inside the same chamber where war budgets are approved. This is the first time many Americans realized UFOs aren't campfire stories, they are national security briefings. Luis Elizondo was not a fringe figure working on the outside. He was a career intelligence officer who once directed the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, a Pentagon unit created to quietly investigate reports of unidentified aerial phenomena. His role placed him at the center of one of the most secretive programs in the Department of Defense.
What that is it a lens flare? Is it something that's shooting out? Remember, this is actually near England's Royal Air Force Base. So is it a UFO? Well, I want to ask the man who spent years investigating UFO videos for the Pentagon. Lou Elizondo is with us. Lou, what is it?
Well, that's a great question, isn't it? I think a lot of people, especially in the UFO community, will jump to the conclusion that it's something anomalous. They'll point to the fact that, oh, it looks like it's going hypersonic velocity. But the reality is there's a lot more questions than there are answers. And
what he later revealed was startling. According to Elizondo, these sightings are not rare anomalies. They occur far more often than the public has been led to believe. He described dozens upon dozens of near collisions between unidentified craft and both civilian and military planes. For him, this was not about curiosity or hobbyists chasing lights in the sky. It was about aviation safety, national defense, and the possibility that unknown technology was repeatedly entering restricted airspace. Elizondo later described UFO secrecy as the worst kept secret in American history. The press often painted him as dramatic, but one fact lingers. If he were fabricating classified details, the Pentagon could have revoked his clearances or taken legal action. They never did. Instead, they issued vague responses, neither confirming nor disproving his claims. That silence is what makes his testimony so unsettling.
for many years, I was entrusted with protecting some of our nation's most sensitive programs. In my last position, I managed a special access program on behalf of the White House and the National Security Council. As such, I appreciate the need to protect certain sensitive intelligence and military information. I consider my oath to protect secrets as sacred, and I will always put the safety of the American people first. With that said, I also understand the consequences of excessive secrecy and stovepiping. Nowhere was this more apparent than in the aftermath of 9/11, which many of us remember all too well.
The more Elizondo and others spoke, the more dramatic the disclosures became. Testimonies began to include terms most Americans never expected to hear in a public setting. Phrases such as non-human biological remains were suddenly repeated in congressional hearings. This was not the language of science fiction. It was the language of sworn testimony. Leaked reports added more fuel to the burner. Documents referenced the recovery of unusual alloys and advanced materials that allegedly came from unidentified craft. These were described as substances that defied conventional engineering, metals that bent the rules of as we understand them.
I believe that America's greatness depends on three elements: A, a watchful Congress; B, a responsive executive branch; and C, an informed public. Over the last decade and a half, I learned that certain UAP programs were and are operating without any of these elements. Although much of my government work on the UAP subject still remains classified, excessive secrecy has led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public, all to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos.
Military pilots also came forward. Their accounts described vehicles performing impossible feats, objects that stopped instantly from hypersonic speeds, craft that executed sharp angle turns without deceleration, speeds so extreme that the most advanced fighter jets appeared obsolete in comparison. None of these claims have been verified through independent scientific review, and official agencies dismissed them as exaggerated or unconfirmed. Yet, they continue to surface. They didn't come from outsiders, but from individuals who once held high-level clearance and access to sensitive programs. This leaves us with a simple but dangerous question. Are these stories smoke designed to distract, or is there a fire raging behind locked doors?
A small cadre within our own government involved in the UAP topic has created a culture of suppression and intimidation that I've personally been victim to, along with many of my former colleagues. This includes unwarranted criminal investigations, harassment, and efforts to destroy one's credibility. Most Americans would be shocked to learn that the Pentagon's very own Public Affairs Office openly employs a professional psychological operations officer as the singular point of contact for any UAP-related inquiries from citizens and the media. This is unacceptable.
History shows a repeated strategy whenever governments confront something extraordinary in the skies. In 1947, when debris scattered near Roswell, officials quickly shifted the story. What began as a military announcement about a recovered flying disc was rebranded as nothing more than a weather balloon. For decades, that explanation stood, even as eyewitnesses described a very different scene. Go back further to 1908, when a massive explosion flattened forests in Tunguska, Siberia. The event released more energy than many nuclear weapons, yet it was dismissed for generations as a simple cosmic event. The true scale of the blast only became clear after scientists revisited it many years later. Even in modern times, the same tactic appears. In 2013, a meteor exploded over Chelyabinsk, shattering windows and injuring more than 1,000 people. At first, it was minimized, brushed aside as a minor atmospheric event. The reality only spread after viral videos forced a global discussion.
There are certain elected leaders that had more information that I'm not sure what they've shared with certain Gang of Eight members or etc., but certainly I would not be surprised.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
The message is consistent. Governments present calm reassurances and urge citizens not to panic. But behind closed doors, they admit far more detail than the public hears. If officials kept quiet about catastrophic meteors, why should we believe they would act differently when it comes to visitors? Among academics, few names have shaken the conversation about unidentified phenomena more than Avi Loeb, a Harvard astrophysicist with a long record of mainstream research. Loeb drew worldwide attention when he suggested that Oumuamua, the first known interstellar object to pass through our solar system, may not have been a random rock at all. He argued that its strange acceleration and shape could indicate technology, perhaps a probe from another civilization.
There are 100 billion of them, comparable to the number of people who ever lived on Earth. It would be arrogant to think otherwise, that we are alone, that we are unique and special. Especially if you read the news every day, we are not the pinnacle of creation.
Rather than retreat from controversy, Loeb launched Project Galileo. This initiative gathers high-quality data from the skies, aiming to separate genuine phenomena from noise. By placing the search for unusual craft within the framework of academic science, Loeb gave the discussion legitimacy that speculation alone never could. Rumors persist that Loeb was consulted early in UAP research efforts, possibly receiving briefings that were not public. Nothing in the record confirms those whispers, but the association matters. Harvard's name carries enormous weight. If Loeb argues that some interstellar visitors might be probes, then every new object that enters our solar system attracts sharper scrutiny. It raises a haunting question. What exactly is flying past our skies now, and how much do authorities already know? Radar operators expected a soft echo. Icy comets scatter radar like fog. Instead, some teams reported sharp returns. Those echoes look more like metal than ice. While space agencies call much of this noise, independent analysts vouch to disagree. They point to consistent blips that line up with pilot reports. Pilots have handed over cockpit video. Some footage shows objects shaped like Tic Tacs moving with impossible speed and agility. Fighter pilots chased them and could not keep up. Engineers say noisy returns do not behave like guided craft. Noise does not outmaneuver jets. Noise does not dodge radar locks. Yet files continue to leak. Data charts, spectrograms, and raw tapes appear in places where the public can see them. When engineers compare the raw signals to official statements, the fit does not line up. That is the core problem. Official dismissal sits beside a pile of unexplained measurements. Which one do you trust? The tidy press release or the raw feed on the console?
A much better approach is to check if there is any object in our backyard that may have arrived from a neighbor's yard, like a tennis ball that may tell us that the neighbor plays tennis. And we haven't really checked until the last decade, the first object to have been reported by astronomers that came from outside the solar system looked really weird.
Every new video or sworn testimony finds an eager audience that wants to believe. That audience has learned to distrust tidy official lines. When insiders speak under oath, the reaction is electric. People who've long felt ignored now feel validated. These episodes do not happen in a vacuum. They land on a dry tinder pile of suspicion and then they burn fast. Why hide this if there is nothing to hide? Officials give standard answers. Protect national security, avoid mass panic, safeguard sensitive technologies. There is another possible reason. Controlling what people know also controls markets, programs, and political capital. The space economy is worth untold sums. Plans for Mars colonies and commercial launches depend on public confidence. If a visitor threatens those plans, silence can protect projects and reputations. Or silence can hide something far darker. If Mars is being tested, what is the motive? If Mars is only practice, who decides when Earth finds out? The hearings happened, Witnesses testified, leaks keep appearing, proof and allegations sit side by side. It's either that the largest cover-up in history is coming apart, or a massive distraction is being staged in public view. Kindly drop your view in the comments. Are we seeing disclosure, or a carefully scripted diversion?